Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast. I'm Justin Castle.
And I'm Mike Margulies, coming at you still from Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm here with Kai, my friend as of the last 10 minutes. We literally met just now in the hostel. Kai, say what's up.
It's a pleasure to be on the show, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Kai's actually doing multiple favors right now. I was talking to you, Justin, about photoshopping a picture for the last episode. And then Kai said, hey, I'm a graphic designer. I can help you do that.
That's
and now
awesome.
Here we are.
That's awesome.
I figure it's a community spirit when you're in a hostel, you know?
And at that moment, it was, wow, this is the exact kind of person that's
awesome.
I love talking to. And it turns out Kai has an awesome story, too. So.
Yeah. So, Kai, where'd your story begin? Where do you hail from, and what got you going on this journey?
I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida. Was raised there most of my life. Went to boarding school for high school in Switzerland for a couple years.
Wow.
Ended up going back to Florida, finishing up high school. Then went to Suffolk University.
Yeah, go ahead.
Studied there for 4 years, and then ended up in Los Angeles working at a electronic music company.
Awesome.
And now you're yourself on an indefinite travel.
Yeah, I decided that once I got laid off work and tried other work opportunities and didn't like it, I'd kind of take a leap of faith and cross the world and see what it's all about. Check out the culture, check out the people, get away from the biased imagery of what media imposes and make up my own opinions.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So, I think that the part that struck me when you told us this the first time was, wow, okay, so you got laid off, and a lot of people, that happens to them, and it becomes, oh shit, woe is me, life is terrible. And then you went ahead and you said, nope, I'm just going to make something out of this. Life gives you lemons. You make a vodka lemonade.
Yeah, it was pretty much a 24-hour decision. I'm pretty spontaneous.
Wow,
so
that's incredible.
I kind of just decided that, you know what, fuck it, let's do this.
You immediately booked a ticket.
Yeah, I paid for the course to learn how to teach English as a foreign language, booked a ticket, and I was out of there. On a new adventure.
Hey, Kai, so what is that program? What's the process to become an English teacher, and what's the process that it takes to get into one of those programs?
So pretty much you fill out an application online, put it down a deposit, and you're in. I mean, they don't really have too much of a selection process as long as you're a native English speaker and you can write well, then you're pretty much in. It's the program is Teaching English as a Foreign Language, TEFL, where rather than a translatory-based teaching process, it's more phonetics, more hand gestures, repetition.
Huh. So it's more it sounds kind of like it's the way you learned your first language.
Yes,
right?
Definitely is 100% that way. When you go around the streets of other countries that you can't speak the language, you use your hands a lot. You find that you use your hands a lot without even realizing it. And when you go to teach English, it's kind of, in my opinion, one of the stronger points of getting across what your message is. Because people are visual creatures, in my opinion. So
right.
When they're able to see what you're trying to relay, they can kind of put one and one together, two and two together. And
yeah. Well, and it's also, you think about when you were growing up, you learn English. No one was telling you from goo goo gaga. What does goo goo gaga mean? That means the word apple. No one was telling the translation for you. You just had to learn what apple someone showed you, and they said, this is apple. And every time you learn the words, learn the syntax, learn the grammar.
Grammar's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You would never, being an American and the way that we're taught English, we kind of just graze over the subject. We go to the bare minimum. I took a a 4-week course where it was 6 hours a day of learning grammar, phonetics. I mean, things that you would never ever want to know, like what the difference between an auxiliary verb and a phrasal verb is.
You were learning like the detailed of English and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I never knew what a gerund was until I took this course.
I used to know. I forgot.
It's a verb acting as a noun with an ing.
Oh yeah, like walking the Earth podcast.
I could teach.
Although is that
an entire? I wouldn't say that. I would say
if I am walking the Earth. Walking is
still a verb in that.
It's still a verb in that one. Yeah, you're right. Am walking is the verb. But if I were to say walking the Earth is fun, now it's a gerund.
No, that's still a verb.
I should probably.
There's an action.
I was thinking I should probably take a class because I did horribly in English on my SATs, and I didn't even have to take English in college because I did engineering, and at my school they said, "Oh, as long as you can write, you don't need English. Who needs English? You just know how to do math well." I wish I did.
I never did English in college.
Never, really.
I took graphic design. It wasn't really something that was needed. I mean, I'm more of a visual, creative person, and English was just not my forte. And, one thing led to another, and I found myself taking English classes to teach English classes. I tell you what, I would never have believed I'd be doing that now.
It's funny, this kind of relates to things we were talking about on the last episode, where our guest, Ben, was talking about teaching as well, but he's teaching people how to teach with creativity.
Right.
And so, it's teaching in not the traditional ways of rote memorization, but it's teaching. It's very similar, it sounds, to what you're doing, which is teaching with, with the visual things.
Yeah, to tap into their visual connections, their creative nature.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's interesting.
Hey Kai, where did you wind up teaching? Where did the program take you?
I took the course in Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, cool.
Barcelona?
Yeah, Barcelona.
How long were you in Barcelona?
I was there for 7 weeks. I took a month-long course for the TEFL, where it's pretty much 6 hours of class, then about 6 hours of planning and teaching. The first day of the course, you're teaching.
Yeah.
Wow. They put you right in the mix. I mean,
so are you paying or getting paid?
I paid for the program, and then I started getting paid throughout because they started noticing my value, started noticing that I had a good teaching skill.
Yeah.
And then they would throw me a cut because they were a training school.
Yeah.
But they would have students to be part of the training program that would pay for the program.
Huh.
So then after a couple weeks, they would start, throwing people money if they were good enough.
That's awesome. So so you're paying to be in the program, and you had to kind of go on a leap of faith, like, all right, this is going to work.
Yeah,
out.
I mean, it was a little pricey. I didn't know what to think about it at first, but now I'm.
And you were just going off of savings you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much savings from my past work, and I kind of just figured, hey, I can put this money down now, and I kind of did the math, and if I teach for X amount of time, I'll make this money back, and I'll be back at square one, and I'll have an amazing experience to look back on.
Wow,
that's awesome.
So,
and then every time, sorry, go ahead, man.
So the teaching experience is that what's taking you to all these different places, to like Thailand and wherever else you've been, or is that a sidebar to what you do?
It's a mixture of my nomadic spirit, I would say. I wanted an excuse to see the world.
Nice.
And I wanted a way that I could pay for it while doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured the best approach to doing so would be to teach English. I have a cousin who's been here in Chiang Mai for 3 years now, teaching English. And for the past 3 years, she's always saying, hey, you should come out here, you should check it out. I think you'd really like it.
And you make pretty good money doing it also.
Yeah, you can.
Particularly relative to where we are. You're still making a salary it's people make in the U.S.
My cousin was saying that she makes $1,000 a month and she only spends about $400.
Yeah, so $1,000 a month. And relative to here, and someone in the U.S. is going to say, "Oh my God, how are you getting by on $1,000 a month?"
Right.
That's my rent costs. But here, you have $1,000 a month, you're set.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I was planning on doing Thailand 6 months to a year to have some work experience in the field, and then go to South Korea, because in South Korea you can make upwards to $100,000 in a year.
Whoa!
Just teaching English, U.S.
Holy crap!
Wow. So you're living in South Korea, and you're making a six-figure U.S. dollars salary.
Yes.
And what you're spending is
get this. This is the kicker. Countries like China and South Korea, Hong Kong, they will pay for your flight there and back.
Oh my God.
They will pay for your insurance. They will pay for your medical. They will pay for your apartment. They will give you an allowance on top of giving you a salary.
On top of this
So they'll give you spending money. So it's pretty much you're living for free and you're saving thousands of dollars.
That's
holy
insane.
crap!
I mean, why wouldn't you want to do that? I mean, being in my early 20s, recent college graduate a couple years ago. I mean, work opportunities in the States aren't what they were for our parents. So you got to kind of just go with the flow and figure something new out.
That is actually I knew that you could teach English and make a decent living. I didn't know it was that decent and that incredible. What is this program?
Yeah,
actually?
you gotta tell us. I mean, you don't have to tell us a specific
program.
one, but you can tell us, do you have any examples of programs where we can, our listeners can check this out, and where
I would. The course that I took was TEFL International Barcelona. You look that up online and you'll see the whole course right up there. It's a great group of people. Lisa Gerling's the course director. Jamie, Jane, they're both great instructors. It's a great little community right there. They honestly take you from being this mush into a molded English teacher. I mean,
that's a beautiful metaphor.
No, but
they're artistically molding.
Well, they are, because you have to teach a certain amount of classes that you're being watched, right? So they give you constructive criticism throughout the entire program. Yeah. So then you start learning what your own weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what you can, improve.
Which are often the same.
Yeah, I mean,
your strength is also your greatest weakness a lot of the time.
I could agree with that in certain scenarios. Yeah.
And then so eventually they said, "Oh, this kid's got it. Let's bring him on and pay."
Well, they did that to a few. And the way I made the most money out of it was that they had students that would pay, I think it was like €20 for the month to get these English classes. But they got €20. Their whole salary was €20 for the month. Oh man! So they're the guinea pigs.
Okay.
The students are the guinea pigs because they're being taught by the trainees, people like myself that are learning to teach. So they're not necessarily getting.
So you have students and then trainees and then the teachers. Is there different levels? Okay. So you kind of move up the levels as you progress.
Well, the students would be the ones that are learning English. Okay. And then the trainees would be people like myself that pay to take the course.
Okay.
To learn how to be a teacher.
So I'm thinking of students of the teaching.
Oh, yeah.
But okay. So you got the students you're teaching. The trainees, they're also students in their own way.
And you can just go up to these guys and the students and be like, "Hey, you want English lessons one-on-one?" And they eat it up. They really, these people are there to learn English.
And you're helping them,
just by talking
and I'm
to
helping
them.
myself as
just
well.
by talking to them.
So that's beautiful.
Teaching them.
It really is just a conversation. I mean, some people like to write out these whole lesson plans and put it all down. I think when it's a one-on-one situation, it's more of a fluid conversation.
Yeah.
You find out what their interests are, what they need help in with their speaking, with their writing. Just figure out what they want to learn, because in reality, people don't want to learn what they don't want to learn.
Right.
And they're not going to put in the effort. And who wants to waste time on somebody who's not going to put in the effort go along with what you're teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
If otherwise, it's just a waste of time for everybody.
Learning at its best is when a person doesn't know that they're learning.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like we talked about last time also, where it's kind of you're just having fun and you don't even realize it, but you just learned a new skill.
Exactly.
You're just doing things that you are interested in. You're having fun, and the next thing you know. Oh,
right.
I'm learning right now how to do a podcast. And it never seems like work. It's unless we're sitting here, we're having conversations, shooting the shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, each episode, it's like, oh, we're learning a little bit more of what we need to do as podcast hosts.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is very, very technical. You know, all the great scholars have watched this film. Road Trip, where he teaches them about history. He teaches them about history by relating it to wrestling, like WWE wrestling, and the same type of concept. But Kai, I wanted to ask you the second.
Wait, go deeper into that metaphor. I missed something there. So how does it? I don't remember the scene.
You don't remember the scene? Okay. Towards the end of the movie, after they go all the way down to see the guy's girlfriend, and spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil the movie. Hey, if you haven't seen it,
spoiler alert for Road
it's about
Trip.
20 years old, so screw you. So he drives all the way down on the short bus with his friends. He sees his girlfriend, realizes he's not into her, he's into this other girl. Then they drive back, and he has to hit go to this test in order to stay in school. It's like a very important test or something like that, and he didn't have time to study. So on the way back, his friend says, "Hey, you can teach an ape anything as long you just have to know how to relate to them." And he talks about wrestling and uses wrestling as a way to relate to history. He was talking about Rumble Royals and things like that as to like all Genghis Khan and all these wars and things like that. But that's too much about this movie. This is about Kai. So Kai, I wanted to know. You mentioned the South Korea thing. Now that piqued my interest. Where did you hear like $100,000, like six figures? That's a shitload of money to earn in some other country or any country. Where'd you get that information from? And was that from the grapevine, or did you find any statistics, or how did you hear about that?
Mainly
Korea?
through word of mouth. But there are websites where you can find jobs overseas that will put job postings up from schools that are looking for native English teachers. Usually for that level of pay, you're going to have somebody who maybe have majored in English, or somebody who's had 2, 3, 4 years teaching experience. I mean, someone like myself who would be going there for a year, I probably would make more along the lines of 40. But that's still a good number. It's a
good number, especially when your housing's paid for and you're spending money on top of that. So you're getting more than that because they give you spending money also. They're paying for this all just going to the bank, and the cost of living is so much different there also. So you are making bank. I don't know what the cost of living is in South Korea.
Neither do I.
But I mean, I know in this region of the world, generally, like you were saying, you make $1,000 a month and you're getting by pretty well.
Yeah.
So if you're banking $40,000 and you're not even paying for your housing, or your flight, or all these other things that you listed, you are very much in the money.
Yeah, those are all conditional, though, to the contract that you make. The longer you stay, the more willing they are to pay for all of those things.
Yeah.
So, right. I mean, if I were to go there, I'd be staying for a year at least.
Right.
So you can get a good contract for yourself.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? We're all trying to make a name and lay our mark down somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And so you're doing sorry, go ahead, Cass.
No, if you got something, go for it.
I was just thinking, you mentioned, so you're doing right now the teaching, and that's give me the main mechanism it looks like for bringing in income for the time being. But you're also a graphic designer, and that's how we started talking in the first place.
Yes.
Is that something that you're doing on the side right now, or what's going?
Well, graphic design to me, it's fun.
Yeah.
I would be doing it if I didn't get paid doing it.
Right. Yeah.
That's just my passion. My mother's an artist, my father's an artist, and it kind of rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to study it in school a bit, did that, And I'm kind of mainly self-taught, I would say.
Yeah.
But ultimate goal, I'd like to be in advertising. I'd like to be a creative director.
Nice.
But that's. I look at the world as you stay in one place and it's like only reading one page of a book. If you don't, that's only part of the story. You don't know what the ending is. You don't know what the middle is. You only know just a fraction, maybe a paragraph, maybe a sentence.
That's awesome.
So the more you travel, the more inspiration that you can bring into your life for, creativity. I feel that travel is directly in tune with your creative nature. You're opening up your mind to new culture, new art, new experiences that you would never do when sitting on the couch in front of your TV or computer back home.
I couldn't agree with that anymore. And for me personally, I think I've talked about this at some points where my creativity has been unlocked on some next level since traveling. And it makes sense if you think about it, because what is creativity? Creativity or innovation is you take two old concepts and you make a new concept. So if you are sitting around the same place with the same people all the time, you need an external creative input, external thing to give you that kick. And so you're traveling, all of a sudden, there's people, different languages, different cultures, all around the world. Some new idea comes in your brain and you merge that with something else you already know. Boom, new creative idea.
Yeah, I read somewhere that creativity is the creation of something that has never been around before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just creating something out of thin air and boom, there it is.
Out of the ether. You kind of just grab it out of there. And like you're saying, travel's the way to unlock that. It's a good way to unlock that.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, the more experiences you have, the more you're able to draw from.
Exactly.
Hey, Kai, what has been, you've been on the road for 3 months, I think you said.
Yes.
Has there been any, I don't know, occurrences or places that have really been exceptionally inspirational to you so far? Or anything that really sparks? Yeah, go ahead.
I loved Barcelona. Gaudi architecture is fucking awesome.
They have that one thing that's been being built for, 700 years?
La Sagrada?
Yeah.
The church?
Yeah.
La Sagrada Familia.
A 700-year architecture project?
They're always renovating.
Still being built.
Pieces, yeah. It's just amazing. I mean, I don't know if this guy was tripping on acid or shrooms or something, but he took it to a whole nother level, man. I mean, he turned buildings into artwork, which you don't really see.
Can you go further and explain? Because I'm not really familiar with Gaudi. Do you know a little bit about? Can you explain it for the
Gaudi uses Gaudi uses a lot of curved lines. He tends to not use any straight lines. The places that I've visited, there's never a central theme. Everything's different. He uses a lot of mosaics, a lot of stained glass, and he tries to create an aura of, in my opinion, like magic. I mean, it is
magic.
outer worldly. His Casa Batlló.
When you grab these ideas out of the ether, like you were talking about,
yeah.
That is magic in a way, isn't it?
It is. I mean, he just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm not an architect, but after seeing some of that stuff, it made me think, I'd like to do architecture. Like maybe make a house, drop a house for myself one day and have some Gaudi-inspired pieces to it.
Yeah, it's some really interesting stuff. I only spent about 3 days in Barcelona. This was several years ago. It was my first backpacking experience. This was when I was still working on a job, and so for me, it was just it was a 2-week vacation as opposed to an extended travel.
Yeah.
But it was just a crucial experience for me because that was the trip where my eyes were opened for the first time and meeting people that were doing the extended travel, and thought to myself, that'll be me someday. And Barcelona was the last stop of that trip. Only got a small taste of it because obviously 3 days isn't enough to really get immersed in a place.
I think the best way to immerse yourself in a city is to live there at least a month.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if that's long enough.
Yeah.
Because I was only there for about 6.5, 7 weeks, and there's still so much that I didn't explore, didn't see, that I still want to.
And it's like every day you learn more things that are hidden there that you didn't know about.
The best part about Barcelona, though, was the amount of street art that you would find.
Yeah. I remember the people that were dressed like... there was this one street where people were in costumes and they were posing. And, is that still there?
Oh,
I just remember this guy dressed like the Invisible Man. It was a really cool costume because he had his head was inside of the body, but it looked like he had no face. And there's a whole like alien. I don't remember the name of the street, but it was this. You walk down the street, you can pose. They were working for tips.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You'll love this city, man. You just got to Chiang Mai.
Yeah, this morning.
This is such a artistic city. Everywhere you go, there's music. You walk down, there's amazing, beautiful art galleries. The night markets. I can't help. I'm trying to not spend a lot of money because I'm trying to stretch my dollars to make this trip last as long as I can. But as I was walking down the street in the night market in Chiang Mai, I couldn't help but keep buying things just because I wanted to support the art. I got this wallet that's got Jimi Hendrix painted on it, and these little faces that you can these little guys. I can't describe it, but you can make faces with them. And a lot of these things I'm going to maybe give away as gifts also, because I don't want to accumulate possessions.
Yeah, and you're going to give inspiration to others for little concepts that they might want to come up with.
Exactly. And I just keep seeing these little things in Chiang Mai that are just cool. And it's all right, I need that. And I'll play with it for a little bit, and then help other people get inspiration. Like, hey, have this.
When reading about Chiang Mai and from people that I spoke to, what really drew me to the area was the hippie culture, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like you said, the art, the culture of just music everywhere.
Yeah. And, some people hear hippie and they have this image and they're like, oh, well, it's just a bunch of people.
Yeah, they think of the 70s people sitting around in a circle, clapping their hands, smoking weed.
Just kidding. And some of that, to some extent, there is some of that's true. There's some element in the hippie culture today of the smoking weed, hanging out. But I think the core of it is... the living, the creative energy and the living. So the hippies that I relate to, that I meet today, whether you want to call them hippies or not, the label isn't important. But the culture is all kinds of artists, basically, people that are doing their thing. So whether it's I'm doing a podcast, or I'm doing music, or it's drawing or painting, or doing graphic design, it's people that are using their creative energy, being inspired by other people's, and then just living their day-to-day life, enjoying it. And I don't know, my current dream now is I want to get to a point where I'm trying all these artistic things, and I'd like to make a living, just sort of just make my way in life doing artistic things. And the things I like are not expensive. So if I can just I don't want to be famous or need a fortune, but if I have enough money to make just enough money to make a modest living, then I feel like I've won.
I think the best, or the only way that one can win in this silly game we call life is to just be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked jobs that I thought would have been, the best just because they make me money, just because they put me in a situation where I can be a part of the Hollywood scene, whatever. But that doesn't amount to anything if you're at the end of the day hating what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have to
hit the nail on the head there.
Life's short. You have to take it for what it is and take advantage of every opportunity. I mean,
Kai,
just sitting back. Yeah, go on.
Go ahead. I want to hear what you're thinking. I just wanted to hear, you're talking about your, liking life, etc. But prior to the podcast, we were talking about, your previous job and that you really enjoyed doing it, working out in L.A. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
You said you really enjoyed that job. Now, could you tell everybody, all the listeners, what that job was again, just to remind everyone and myself?
Yeah. So I'll start from the beginning of that job, I guess. I had interned throughout college for a talent agency, and I went after college to go get the job that I thought was right there for me. Never ended up happening. So while I was job interviewing, I decided to go on LinkedIn and, look for a silly little internship so I wasn't doing nothing while I was looking for work. Found this job saying that they needed interns for a startup electronic music company. I was like, all right, I like electronic music, let's do it. Ended up going there, met a great group of people. A few weeks in, they offered me a position. And it was cool. I mean, it was a lot of going to events.
Entertaining the talent.
Entertaining. Trying to set up.
Not a bad job.
Trying to set up accounts. But, it fell through. I mean, it was a little overzealous on my part. I thought that it was more than what it was. And it's a startup. So we all have these dreams of making it big, doing what we love. But, it doesn't always turn out that way. They couldn't afford to pay me anymore, and I needed to make money. So I left.
Yeah.
I would say, though, sounds like you still learned a tremendous amount from the experience.
I mean, every experience you learn from.
Exactly.
I mean, there's no experience in life that you're not going to come away from it learning something about yourself, learning something about someone else, or learning something about that specific subject.
Exactly. And in a strange roundabout way, this was almost, you could say, a blessing in disguise.
I 100% would say that.
Yeah. So, and that's like, when I hear this story, I'm like, well, that's the takeaways. Someone told me a few weeks ago a nice phrase that she used, which was, everything happens for a good reason. And I think if you believe that's true, you can make it into reality. But you know what? I know you have to get...
I can do 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Okay, well, we have like some wrap-up kind of things that we do, so it'll probably get us there. But yeah, everything happens for a good reason. So if you... I guess what I was getting at there was, if I believe in mentally, if you... No matter what things happen to you in your life, if you're... have the attitude of, well, we can make a good reason out of this. You can make it so...
It's all about the outlook that you have on life. If you're going to go into a situation with negative thoughts, it's going to be a negative experience.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, it's something that I've been learning myself and trying to, teach myself is that,
You can, I'll give an example. The other day in Chiang Mai, I was hanging out with a bunch of people in a hostel, and we all hang out for a few hours, went to dinner together, and then we kind of go out and about. We were going to go out and about to the town, and then I said, hey guys, hold on one second, I got to drop off my laptop. Went a half block away, put my laptop, and I come back and everyone's gone. And I was so pissed off, like, oh, you guys ditched me, and I was just so angry and then I stepped back and I was like, okay, hold on a second, let me observe myself. The feeling I'm feeling right now is anger. Let me observe that feeling, and this is some of the good things I got out of this meditation course that I did recently. And it was like, it's okay to have anger. You can't just acknowledge that it's there. So I said, okay, I'm feeling anger. Here's the reasons why. And in acknowledging it, I slowly was able to make it not affect me. And then I said, well, now I have a choice. I can either spend my night being pissed off, or I can just go and say, well, this is where tonight's journey is taking me. And so, went off alone. Next thing I know, I run into this amazing art gallery, and I hear this incredible... I watch this guy... He plays music, and he runs a bar where he plays music, and he's incredible. And I saw this most amazing performance, met some other travelers, and ended up having a spectacular night. And it was just like, for me, it was like that, I was happy for myself versus where I had previously been, where a previous version of me would have been pissed off all night and let it take me down. And I'm happy that I was able to and say, no, tonight's going to be a good night. I don't care what happened. Here's where I am now. Let's do it.
Life works in mysterious ways, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like, you get put in situations where you have to, come up with your own, ambitions. I mean, I came to Europe and to Asia alone, traveled alone.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to know anyone, didn't care to know anyone.
Yeah.
But then, like, as you go along, it's like, I used to think of myself as an independent person.
Yeah.
You know, always solo, lived alone forever. And then I started realizing on this trip that we're social creatures.
Yeah.
We're meant to interact with people. We're meant to, you know, be around and, you know, share our experiences because we get energy from that.
Yeah.
And when you're traveling alone, you're never really alone. You're just forced to meet new and different people that affect you.
And you meet some awesome people along the journey. And,
to say the least.
And sometimes you go on their podcasts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what someone said along my travels is we're all like-minded fools.
I love that.
We're all doing something that not many other people even think of doing because it's just too far outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And the people that you meet on the road are, you know, they're the ones that are taking it to the next level.
They're willing to take the risk.
Yeah, they're willing to take that risk, and they're willing to go on an adventure. They don't need to have an end goal. They're just going and trying to just see where the world takes them. Maybe find the right place for them.
You gotta take that jump without the rope.
Yeah.
To reach that other rock.
Oh,
yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, that was a Batman reference.
Kai,
so let's wrap. I think Cass. I think we probably should wrap it up because it usually takes a couple minutes to finish out, and I want him. He's got to get to meet up with somebody.
Yeah, Kai, to kind of wind things down. What's the next step for you? You're going to meet with your friend, and then where are you going from there? What's your where are you going?
Well, I came up to Chiang Mai because my cousin, she's been teaching here for a little while, and I'm thinking of possibly taking up her job position for the next semester. So I figured check out Chiang Mai, see if it's a place that I'd want to live. I still don't know because I haven't really explored the area quite yet. Kind of just got from the airport to the hostel and to this podcast.
I think I want to live here, actually.
But, you know, you can tell a lot about a place just getting off the plane, like the vibe.
That's true.
I knew for the second I got off the plane in Bangkok that I hated it.
Yeah.
Right.
And when I got here, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So, you know, I see myself staying here for a little while, maybe going to South Korea if I, you know, can muster the courage. And if I make that money, go to South America, go anywhere. I mean, I plan on traveling for a long time, my friend.
That's
cool.
That's the way. You know what? I like Chiang Mai because it's the kind of place where I walk downstairs in the hostel, I make a friend in 5 minutes, and he does a podcast. You find these kind of people in Chiang Mai.
Sounds like a great place. I wish I could see it with my own 2 eyes.
I'm sure that one day you will.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that's true.
Let's ask him our question.
Sure. So Kai, we're going to wrap things up in just a moment, but we wanted to ask you before you leave, what is one thing you want to do before you die?
That's a tough one, man. There's so many things, but
Anything.
it's going to sound lame. Fall in love.
Beautiful answer. That is a beautiful answer.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
What is more important in life than love?
Love, family. I mean, I think that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
Just to foster those connections and find our other half, so to speak.
Yeah.
There is not one thing about that that's lame. I'll tell you that right now. That's just beautiful. And anyone who's trained us to believe our lives that attitude's lame, you know, screw them.
I agree completely.
I love them also. I want them to. I would actually not screw them. I want them to find love. That's what I want.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming and joining us. It's been a real honor talking to you, Kai. Thanks, everyone.
Likewise.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming onto the show, Kai.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Spontaneously.
Yeah, it's definitely my first time for. I was told that you gotta do something that scares you every day, otherwise you're not living.
Absolutely. Well, Kai and Michael, thank you again. This is Justin from Walking the Earth podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.